Well, there's one more thing that still boggles the minds of Ambazonia, and that has to do with even after the Vice President Anijo explained it, it has to do with the understanding the concept of this particular federal draft. Like, can you explain the concept further,
Yeah.
briefly?
So, I don't look. Every change comes with a bit of anxiety because people do not maybe understand very well, or because people are unsure about how things will go. So that's expected. But by now we are doing the third draft, and we shall keep on educating. You cannot have enough of education, and so yeah, but we don't want anyone to stay back because they didn't understand something. You know who to call, even if things still aren't clear to you. Call the next comrade who can talk to, or you call your LGA chair or your county chair or anybody in leadership. I'm sure they'll be able to explain things in more detail. Well, let me say this: in the past, we're not doing. In the past, we have drafted counties. We've actually never drafted the federal government. And let's just take a seat and think of how other countries or other governments function. Every government has a source of funding. They have a treasury and they have a budget. But in our revolutionary context, this is different because we don't have a source, a constant source of funding in way of taxes. Of course, indirectly, now we're having AID, which we encourage everybody to contribute. But again, these things are, we could say they are voluntary in a way. So we don't have the government, as a government, doesn't really have much powers when he doesn't have money in his hands. We drafted the counties, which of course is a great thing, and we shall continue doing. There's also the misunderstanding maybe that drafting the federal government means we are not going to draft the counties. No, that is very wrong. The county drafts are going to follow after the federal rounds, And let's remember this, the structure of this interim government, which is what makes it very unique. And that is what has made it so strong to stand all the tests, all the challenges, and all the betrayals and foul games that have been attempted. That is because they're not dealing, these people, or I don't know what name to give them, the enemies of the revolution, I should say, they are not fighting an individual. They believe they are fighting an individual, but they're wrong. They're actually fighting a government. That is the broadest and the most stable structure we have in this struggle as far as the recent times are concerned. By recent times, I mean since 2016. So the interim government is a broad-based structure that works on the principles of grassroots, bottom-up access, if I may put it that way. Yeah. So that is why we empowered our counties, and we did the drafting. We drafted our counties. Uh, however, however, just like in every federal system, you still have the federal government also still needs to have its own projects. And in the past, when the president or the federal government had such projects, they didn't have the funding. The plan was that we would use our structures like the LGAs to mobilize, and then a certain percentage would be given to the federal government, so that in order to empower the federal government to take its own federal projects, so to say. That also being a new thing was not very effective. Some counties did well, others didn't. But we're work in progress. The point I'm trying to make here is uh, we as a government, we want to involve all arms of government. We don't want to leave any part. We don't want to allow a part to be too strong and another one weak. Like the president puts it in very simple language. I always like the way he explains things. It's very simplistic. He said our struggle runs on three wheels, you know, And I think last year, one of the slogans, the popular slogans were, "We govern together to liberate together." And what does that mean? That means we have the federal government, we have the leadership at the federal level, headed by the president, of course, and then we have the county leaderships headed by our county coordinators, and you have the LGA leadership. So all these three wheels of the executive are meant to be empowered, and that is the reason why we had to also include the federal draft, so that if the president has a plan, he doesn't necessarily need to go mobilizing from the counties, to get some money before he can execute this. Because as we know, in a revolution, time is of essence. So I hope that this explains or tries to debunk the feeling or the misconception that doing the federal draft means that the counties are being weakened or the counties are not encouraged to draft. No, all counties will be drafted. So we expect, by doing this exercise throughout the year, to achieve a strong federal government and a strong county and LGA government as well. And that way, we're really running on three solid wheels, and that's going to give us more stability. Because if we only drafted the federal government and at the expense of our counties, then we have simply turned the plates around. Then we are simply saying that every county should run to the federal government for help, and that's not the idea of the federal draft. So let this be very clear: we are doing something in addition to what we've done in the past. So we've drafted the counties, and we shall still do that. And in addition, we are going to draft the federal government, because the president has a plan and he needs to be liquid. Thank you.